Welcome back. In the last lecture, I walked you through these components and how generally its structure. Now let's dive deeper into this JSX things. So what is JSX? JSX is a XML like syntax extension to ECMAScript without any defined semantics. It's not intended to be implemented by engines or browsers. If you are writing a React component, you will come across syntax like this. It looks weird to write HTML tags in JavaScript, but it turns out to be super useful. This is JSX, JavaScript extension. Why JSX? Can we write React component without JSX? Yes, of course. Good question. So let's try without JSX how we can write this. So let me comment out this. Can comment out this one, and now, or let me delete for now that you guys cannot confuse what's going on here. So for this, when we are going to return, we have to tell to the React that we need element. We have to create element, and for this, telling you at least 3 arguments. Create element, this is a method which takes 3 arguments actually. It takes an infinite amount of arguments, but at least 3. The first one is the element we want to render to the DOM. This could be div, this could be h1, this could be uh, image, and anything. So for example, I want h1 tag. This can be a normal HTML, anything. After this, I separate by comma. Now it could be also your own component. If you have one here, we don't hold because we are inside a component, we can't render that. We could render any other components we are importing, but we have no such components. The second argument is basically the configurations for this, and there we could pass a JavaScript object. This is optional. We can also pass null. For example, we don't have pass anything, so we could also pass just null, and we will do this for now because I don't want to configure it. The third arguments here then is any amount of children, and we could have multiple arguments by separated, and children elements you can do, or if you want to describe your h1 tag. So for example, I'm writing the h1 tag is hello world. So we write our h1 tag. So before going to see the result, you have to save your file. When you save, now you can see here hello world is come in the h1 tag. Now second thing, can we style it? Yes, we can do style it. For example, there is in the second argument here we can define our class name. So we can tell them class name, the second name should be bigger, and then colon, and now you have to define your class property here, which is we did on the last lecture, and the app name. Let me show you here too. In the app CSS, so we just say text align in the center. So that's why I just apply the same class on this. So let's see, is it applied on this? So now you can see here hello world. You can also go by inspect tool to the developer tools, which by Chrome has. So now you can see in the body have root element, which we have the app class is apply for this, and h1 tag come in this root ID. Now one thing more, if you want to create first div and then in the div you have to create, so like a nested element you want to create it. For this, let me do by the simple, like this is a 3 arguments counts. Now for the second we have to create first. Before this, I'm just coming by the value of div, and second argument I'm saying null, and third argument I'm just going to create element, which is this h11. Let me copy this in here. So what I did, I create a div. So you have to remember, okay, every element, whenever you creating element in this React with the React dot create element, you have to have at least 3 arguments. So the first I call them get div. I need div. You can pass any style with the null, or you can put empty. And then I say on the third arguments, I need another element in this third argument. So I create another element, which is also I have to describe at least 3 arguments. So for the second one, I apply the class name and then hello world. So let me save this, and now let me show you. The result is same like before because we just add the div, not other styles. If we go in the console and the developer tools of the Chrome, so we can see now in the ID root here have one div, and in this div have h1 tag with the class app. So this is how you can write without JSX, and it's become cumbersome. Like if we have some component which is have nested child elements, it's like so much irritant. Personally, I don't like it because it's have a too much words. It's really hard word to describe. Now JSX code. JSX codes looks seconds and easier to read. Basically, by using JSX, you can write HTML code in JavaScript. Then Babel transform these expression into actual JavaScript code. So let me show you the one example. We already the same example in the JSX code. So let me remove this, and here when it comes to return, you have to simply apply by div, which is I'm calling by class name, and the class name is app, and then div close, and simple I'm calling here h1 tag, and which is I'm saying hello world. You can either class name wherever you want to give them. If I save, the same hello world came. Is that easy? How? Like it's super cool. The JSX, super cool. The same div with the class app and hello worlds come with the second of writing a code. Without JSX, it's like a cumbersome. It's like a really hard. So basically JSX, it allows us to put HTML into JavaScript. So JSX is like a shorthand for calling react.createElement function. Since it is a JavaScript, we can execute JavaScript code inside JSX using curly braces syntax. For example, if we had to something. For example, after this I can add just a little bit sum, and I'm calling here sum, and there's a curly braces 1 plus, and then again 1, and save this. Now you can see here sum is 2. You can easily add it. But here is something to be noted. JSX syntax is intended to be used by preprocessor to transform HTML like text in JavaScript files into standard JavaScript object. Babel compiler is a subjective selection from React for transforming ES code to and JSX syntax to ES5 code. Using JSX, you can leverage the full power of JavaScript. In HTML, you have to close all tags always. You have to use class name for HTML class attributes. You have to use HTML for HTML for attribute. The style attributes takes an objects of camel case styling. We will be also do this when we are going by creating a project. So you will be learn a lot of this. But this is simply how I show you how JSX is work, which is a simple HTML code in JavaScript. See you in next video.